मिलती नहीं ताकत के करे शुक्रिया इंसान बंदों पे खुदा रहता है हर दम ही मेहरबान मिलती नहीं ताकत के
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome today to lesson 6 of this frequency-based approach series to learn the translation of the Holy Quran. In today's lesson we have three things. The first is the pronoun hum, which can mean any of they, them or their depending on where it comes, which we'll have a look at inshallah. The second is the particle ma, which can either mean what or not, has both meanings, and we'll have a look at both of them inshallah. And the third thing is constructing the present tense third person masculine singular verb form, i.e. he does. Now we're looking at the present tense, whereas before we were only doing the past tense. The words from the previous lesson, before we start, we had the verb amana, extremely common in the Holy Quran, which means he believed. Then below that we have the word inna, used for emphasis, which means indeed. And then we have the relative pronoun alladhina, which is of course the plural of alladhi, which means those or the ones who. Two translations you can do, but you can do any translation as long as it fits the word in the sense of the sentence. Today we have hum. Now, it comes in three forms in the Holy Quran, and I've given the grammatical terms for what they are. One is as a common pronoun, one is as an object pronoun, and one is as a possessive adjective. These grammatical terms aren't essential. They're not what we're focusing on, but they do help because when we look at other equivalents for like the feminine version, the dual version, other things, second person, first person, these will help. So it's important. It's good to remember these, but it isn't essential. What's the priority here is just to know the meanings. But these will help, and we'll have a look at what these mean when we look at this pronoun in different situations and other ones as well. But the three meanings are they, them, and their. And these two, with asterisks next to them, I've put these lines here because they come as suffixes attached to the end of the word. These two don't come on their own. Like al never comes on its own as a prefix. These two are suffixes. They come on the end of words and they never come on their own. Whereas hum, meaning they, is always a standalone separate word. So hum as a common pronoun. What a pronoun is a word which is used to avoid having to mention a noun again and again. In this sentence, for example, Harry went to the shop and then Harry came home. Later, Harry had dinner before Harry finally went to bed. The repetition of Harry is unnecessary. So what you do in English and in all languages is you mention Harry once, and then after that, use the pronoun he, and he to refer back to Harry. And Harry went to the shop and then he came home. Later, he had dinner before he finally went to bed. Now, after Harry, as many times as you say he, it's clear that the he refers back to Harry until you mention someone else's name. So that's what a pronoun is in essence. And he is a common pronoun, as we have at the bottom. The others are, in English, I, you, she, it, they, and we. So the first common pronoun we're looking at is hum, as a standalone separate word, which means they. So an example is hum muslimun. Okay, so here we have hum, the plural they, and muslimun, of course, as we know, is the plural of Muslim because the waw noon makes it plural. So hum, this would be, in this singular sentence, this would be huwa muslimun. That would be he is a Muslim. But because we made it the plural, we add a waw noon to make Muslim plural, and hum is the plural, of course, of huwa. So hum muslimun is the plural, they are Muslims. But of course, this is the 3 plus plural, as in 3 or more people, because there's a separate dual form. So hum muslimuna means they are Muslims, used for 3 or more people. And our second example is hum fil masjid. They are in the mosque. Again, we're not translating are because the present tense is assumed in Arabic. If this was one person, it would be huwa fil masjid. He is in the mosque. But because it's 3 or more people, we could say hum fil masjid. They are in the mosque. The second example of hum is as an object pronoun. An object pronoun is where the pronoun, the word that replaces the noun, becomes the object of the sentence, as in something that someone or something, a verb is being done to. So in English, these are me, you, him, her, it, them, or us. For example, I saw him in the mosque because the action of seeing is being done to him. Or I have never used it before. The use is being done to it, and I helped them move house. So they are being helped. And the examples, now this, as we have here with these like lines here, is a suffix. So hum, when it means them, is part of the word. So ra'ahum, as in ra'a meaning he saw, and then hum meaning them, is one word, not two words. So ra'ahum means he saw them. Ra'a singular and hum the 3 plus plural. So ra'ahum is one word meaning he saw them. And look here, one Arabic word is translated by 3 English words, or 3 English words are expressed in one Arabic word. Ra'ahum, he saw them. And our other example here is khalaqahum. Khalaqa means he created, singular past tense verb, and hum, of course, is our object pronoun, meaning them. So khalaqahum means he created them, as in he created them. And the third example is there. This is hum also as a suffix, but here hum is a possessive adjective. Before it was an object pronoun. Here the suffix hum, as in it joins onto the end of the word, it's not part of the word. A possessive adjective is a word used to show that someone or something possesses something else, or grammatically speaking, someone else. To show that someone owns something or possesses something. In English, those are my, your, his, her, its, their, or are. For example, his leg was broken, or check the car to see if its headlights are working, or their house is in London. These words are all indicating that something belongs to someone else. And hum here is the plural word for that, there, to show that something belongs to 3 or more people in Arabic. So an example would be kitabuhum means their book, because here it's a possessive adjective. So hum here isn't like with the object pronoun, hum is showing that an action is being done to some people. Here, the possessive adjective hum is showing that something belongs to 3 or more people. So kitabuhum means their book. And baytihim means their house. Again, we had hum and we had him. Again, it's a difference of grammar, but the meaning is exactly the same. So kitabuhum is their book and baytihim is their house. The second item we have today is the particle ma, which comes up a lot in the Quran, and it has 2 meanings which are completely different. The first meaning is mainly translated as what, it's a relative particle, but it can also be whatever, whatsoever, or anything that conveys the sense of what. And the second meaning is not, but it can also be translated as nor, or neither, or no, or anything that conveys the idea of negativity, not having something, not being something. So this is, here, ma is known in this sense as a relative particle, because it tells you about something, it gives you information about something. And here, ma is a negative particle. It conveys some sense of no or negativity. So, meaning what is an example of ma, which is slightly more common. It's more commonly used in the Quran to mean what as opposed to not. A what example is ra'a ma fil bayt. Ra'a meaning he saw, and fil bayt, in the house. So, and then ma meaning what. So ra'a ma fil bayt. Ra'a ma fil bayt. He saw what, and then is not translated, in the house. So he saw what is in the house. And the second example is خَلَقَ اللَّهُ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ, that Allah has created what is in the earth. So Allah created what is in the earth. So خَلَقَ اللَّهُ, Allah has created, ma, what, fil ard, in the earth, and then adding the is in the earth. And ma meaning not, for example, is used in the Quran less than what, but still used a lot, hundreds of times, meaning not in the Quran. We had kataba kitaban, as we learned before, means he wrote a book. Ma kataba kitaban means he did not write a book. So it's the same sentence, we're just adding the ma at the beginning, and it changes, it makes the meaning opposite. So if kataba kitaban is he wrote a book, ma kataba kitaban is he did not write a book, because the ma is giving us the negativity, and it's the word which tells us it didn't happen. Second example is ma ra'a al-muslima fil bayt. So ra'a al-muslima fil bayt would be he saw the Muslim in the house. Adding ma at the beginning as a negative particle makes it the opposite. It didn't happen. So ma ra'a al-muslima fil bayt, he did not see the Muslim in the house. So ra'a al-muslima fil bayt, he saw the Muslim in the house. Ma ra'a al-muslima fil bayt, he did not see the Muslim in the house. So ma just has the effect of making the sentence negative, as in that didn't happen or that wasn't the case. The third thing we have today is starting the present tense now, inshallah. So we've looked at the past tense before. Now, with the present tense, what we're doing here is we're adding a letter before the verb to change the meaning rather than after the verb, as we did with katabu, for example. So to make the present tense, as in we're still looking at singular, masculine, as in one, he, person. To make the present tense, you add a ya beforehand. So kataba, adding a ya at the beginning, you have yaktubu at the bottom there. We still have the letters kaf, ta, and ba, but we're adding a ya at the beginning, and that becomes yaktubu. It's not yakataba, as in these diacritical marks, these three fathas change, and the marks change here. But again, that's not to worry. If you know the root and you recognize the fact that the ya makes it present tense, singular, masculine, then you'll know what this means. So there's no need to worry about what happens to the diacritical marks. As long as we can recognize the root and recognize the prefix, we'll know that this means he writes. And on the right, we have ra'a, which means he saw. Now, again, here we add a ya at the beginning. That will make it yara. And of course, here, ra'a has changed to yara. It's not yara'a. The verb has changed here. Here, if only the diacritical marks, as in the fath, has changed. Here, the actual word structure has changed and the alif has disappeared. That's because this is an irregular verb in Arabic. We English speakers should be very, very, very much accustomed to irregular verbs, because both of these words on this page, the English words, wrote and saw, are both irregular verbs in English, because if this was regular, then he wrote should be he wrotes, but it's he writes, because that's just how English is. And if he saw were a regular verb, it'd be he saws, but it's he sees. So in fact, both of these words are irregular in English. So should be nothing new for us English speakers that we have an irregular verb in Arabic here. So this verb does change, but we see the ra here and we see the ya here, and it's the same ra here and the ya here. So ra'a would in the present tense be yara, but seeing that as the letters, we know it comes from that verb, and of course we know that the ya prefix at the beginning makes it present tense, so we'd know that ra'a, he saw, and then on that basis yara means he sees in the present tense. An example would be yaktubu al-muslimu al-kitaba. Now, if this were kataba al-muslimu al-kitaba without the ya, that would be the past tense. The Muslim wrote the book. But because we've added the ya at the beginning, it now becomes yaktubu al-muslimu al-kitaba. So the Muslim writes the book, because the ya has made it present tense. So yaktubu al-muslimu al-kitaba, the Muslim writes the book. Whereas in the past tense, it would be kataba al-muslimu al-kitaba, the Muslim wrote the book. And our second example is Yara al-Ahmadiyu masjidan. In the past tense, this would be Ra'a al-Ahmadiyu masjidan. The Ahmadi saw a mosque. But because we've added a ya at the beginning, it now becomes present tense. So Yara al-Ahmadiyu masjidan. The Ahmadi sees in the present tense, as in happening now, masjidan, a mosque. Okay, so our new words for today are ja'ala, which means he made, very common in the Quran. And then we have our pronouns, hum, which means they, which is a standalone pronoun, common pronoun, meaning they. Then we have them, which is hum as an object pronoun, which is a suffix, which is why I've included these lines here, attaches to the end of the word and never comes on its own. And this says them, and it comes with a verb. This is the possessive adjective, comes with a noun to say that this noun, this thing belongs to these people, as in their book, their car, their whatever, their thing. This also, the lines here indicate that this is a suffix. Whoops. And it comes on the end of the word and doesn't come on its own. And we also have ma, which is a very common particle of the Holy Quran, which means either what or not. It can have other translations, but mainly means what or not. And the way you know whether it's what or not is based on the context of the verb, of the sentence, sorry, which it does take getting used to, but with practice is not too difficult, inshallah. And of course, remember that the plural is 3+. So these are all three or more, not 2 or more, because in English, they, them, and their can be 2, but in Arabic, 2 has a separate form. So for our examples, we have, from now what I want to do, just so that we can monitor our progress and track our progress, what I'll do, inshallah, is the new word will be in red, and then in blue, inshallah, I'll underline the words we've done before. So from the blue, we can kind of we can assess that even though we're learning this word, based on what we've learned before, we already know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all these other things. So the more blue you can see in the screen, the more we've learned. So alhamdulillah, it's not just one word anymore that we're learning. Because of the high frequency approach, we know a lot of words already, and these blue words are the ones we've done before. But the main word we're focusing on here is ja'ala, which means he made. Or here made, because we know who it was. It's alladhi, the one who made. Our second example, we have the hum as a common pronoun, meaning they. And because it's a common pronoun, it's a separate word. It's not joined onto the word before it. And here it means they. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, while they are not believers at all. And mu'mineen is believers. And we have other words here, alhamdulillah, in blue that we've done before. Our third example is hum as an object pronoun, them, as in when it's the object of a verb, when an action is being done upon it or done to it. So khalaqahum means he created them, because khalaqa is he created and hum is them. So khalaqahum, he created them. And our next example is hum or him, because it can change based on grammar, but it doesn't change the meaning. We have hum, we have the same word or the same word, particle, coming up twice in the same verse, one as hum, one as him, but they both mean the same thing. It's just the grammar of where they've come in the verse that means that one is hum and one is him, but they mean the same thing. But it has, alhamdulillah, come twice in the same verse, in both of its 2 possible forms. So bi-imamihim means, well, bi means with, and imam means leader, as I'm sure a lot of us will know. Imam means leader. So imamihim is their leader. And kitabahum, as we know, of course, means their book. So imamihim, their leader, and kitabahum, their book, because here hum is a possessive adjective and it tells us about ownership. So hum and him here, mean their. In this example, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of blue, which is very encouraging, alhamdulillah. By the grace of Allah, we're learning. Here, ma is a relative particle, which means what. So when Allah says, قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, He's saying, indeed I know, He said, indeed I know what you know not. And here ma is telling us what. As in Allah saying, what does Allah know? Allah knows what you do not know, as He says to the angels. So this ma here is a relative particle, meaning what. And there's lots and lots and lots of words here that we already know, alhamdulillah. And the following example is where ma is a negative particle, meaning not. And this, alhamdulillah, has come twice in the same verse. So, فَمَا رَبِحَتْ تِجَارَتُهُمْ. So their trade brought them no gain. As in rabihat means to bring profit or to benefit somebody. Ma rabihat means it didn't bring them profit. Changing it and making it opposite, making it into a negative phrase. And ma kanu muhtadin, they were not rightly guided. As in making it the phrase negative. Here, ma, we did ma meaning what, but ma here is translated as no, and ma here is translated as no in the English. But the main thing is to remember is what their function is, which is to get a construction or a phrase and make it negative, to change the meaning into from something happened to something didn't happen, or something was the case, something wasn't the case. So it can be no, it can be not, it can be none, no, any of those. The main thing is, as always, understanding what the function of the word is, and then after that, any translation that makes sense in English is fine. And our final example is the present tense, third person masculine singular form that we've learned of the verb, which is to add a ya at the beginning. So this originally was khalaqa, or would have been khalaqa, which means he created. Adding the ya at the beginning makes it yakhluqu, which means he creates. It's not yakhalaqa, it becomes yakhluqu. The marks on the letters change. But again, that's not to worry about. It's just about recognizing the root and then recognizing the ya prefix, which makes it present tense. And also we have here qala, which means he said. So, but when we add the ya at the beginning, this one changes. This is another irregular verb and changes quite dramatically. It goes from qala to yaqulu. But again, that's another irregular verb. The main thing is we can see the qaf and we can see the lam, so we know it's qala. It's just that the alif has dropped, like in ra'a, the alif dropped. But the main thing is seeing the qaf and the lam and knowing it's the root qala and recognizing the ya prefix, which means that yaqulu is the present tense of qala. So if qala means he said, yaqulu means he says. So, Jazakumullah, ahsan al-jaza.